The geopolitical landscape has shifted dramatically following Iran's direct military action against Israel. For the first time, Tehran launched a massive assault from its own territory, shattering decades of shadow warfare. This unprecedented move has sparked global anxiety, with many questioning if we are on the brink of a third world war. As the United States and its allies scramble to respond, understanding the mechanics of this conflict is essential for every informed citizen. Today, we will break down the strikes, the defensive response, and what this means for global stability. We will examine the facts, the figures, and the potential paths toward either further escalation or a fragile peace in the region.
The Iranian government dubbed this mission Operation True Promise. It was framed as a retaliatory strike following an April 1st attack on the Iranian consulate in Damascus, Syria, which killed several high-ranking Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps officials. Iran signaled its intent days in advance, a move intended to demonstrate capability while potentially managing the scale of the inevitable counter-response. This strategic maneuver marked a significant departure from Iran's usual reliance on regional proxies like Hezbollah or the Houthis. By taking direct action, Iran has established a new precedent in the region's long-standing tensions, forcing world powers to reconsider their strategic calculus.
The scale of the Iranian assault was staggering. According to military reports, Iran launched over 300 projectiles, including approximately 170 drones, 30 cruise missiles, and 120 ballistic missiles. The drones, primarily the Shahed 136 kamikaze models, were designed to overwhelm radar systems, while the high-speed ballistic missiles targeted specific military infrastructure. This multi-layered attack was designed to saturate one of the most sophisticated air defense networks in the world. The sheer volume of ordnance required a massive coordinated effort from multiple military branches within Iran, highlighting their advanced domestic manufacturing of long-range weaponry despite years of international sanctions.
In a remarkable display of military technology, Israel and its allies intercepted 99% of the incoming threats. The defensive shield involved a complex hierarchy of systems: the Iron Dome for short-range threats, David's Sling for medium range, and the Arrow system for long-range ballistic missiles outside the atmosphere. However, Israel did not act alone. A coalition including the United States, the United Kingdom, France, and even regional partners like Jordan participated in the defense. U.S. naval assets in the Eastern Mediterranean and fighter jets shot down dozens of drones before they even reached Israeli airspace, demonstrating a high level of international coordination and shared military intelligence.
The United States' role in this conflict is pivotal. President Joe Biden has repeatedly affirmed that U.S. support for Israel's security is ironclad. Following the strikes, the U.S. military moved additional destroyers and aircraft to the region to bolster defenses. However, the Biden administration is also walking a fine diplomatic line. While providing military support, Washington has communicated clearly to Israeli leadership that it seeks to avoid a wider regional war. Reports indicate that the U.S. advised Israel against a direct counterstrike on Iranian soil, fearing that an escalatory spiral could draw American forces into a direct conflict with Iran, which would have catastrophic global consequences. The strikes forced a sudden and dramatic closure of airspace across the Middle East. Countries like Jordan, Iraq, and Lebanon suspended all flights, straining thousands of passengers. Jordan's participation in intercepting Iranian drones was particularly significant, illustrating the complex web of regional security interests. While many Arab nations remain critical of Israeli policies, they also view Iranian expansionism and missile proliferation as a direct threat to their own sovereignty. This incident has forced these nations to balance their public domestic sentiment with their private security cooperation with Western powers, highlighting the fragile nature of Middle Eastern geopolitics in the face of direct Iranian aggression. The threat of World War III is not just a military concern, it is an economic one. As news of the strikes broke, global markets reacted with volatility. Brent crude oil prices hovered near $90 per barrel, with analysts warning that any disruption to the Strait of Hormuz, through which 1/5 of the world's oil passes, could send prices skyrocketing above $100. Such an energy shock would trigger global inflation, affecting everything from gas prices in the US to the cost of food in developing nations. investors have begun moving capital into safe haven assets like gold and the US dollar, reflecting a high level of uncertainty about the duration and intensity of the conflict. The rhetoric from both Tehran and Jerusalem remains high stakes. Iranian officials have stated that their matter can be deemed concluded unless Israel makes another mistake, in which case their response would be considerably more severe. Conversely, Israeli officials have vowed that the attack will be met with a response, emphasizing that they cannot allow a direct strike from Iranian soil to go unanswered without diminishing their national deterrence. This eye-for-an-eye logic is exactly what world leaders fear could lead to an uncontrollable escalation. The challenge for both sides is finding a ladder to climb down from the conflict without appearing weak to their domestic audiences or regional adversaries.
In the wake of the attack, the international community has shifted into high gear for diplomacy. An emergency meeting of the G7 leaders was called to coordinate a unified response, focusing on potential new sanctions against Iran's drone and missile programs. Meanwhile, at the United Nations Security Council, Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned that the Middle East is on the brink and urged maximum restraint. The diplomatic goal is to provide Israel with a non-military victory through international condemnation and economic pressure on Iran to satisfy the need for a response without triggering a full-scale kinetic war. Whether these diplomatic levers are enough to satisfy both sides remains to be seen.
As we conclude, the situation remains fluid. While the immediate threat of 300-plus projectiles has been neutralized, the underlying tensions remain. The world is watching to see if Israel will launch a direct counterstrike, or if the coalition's successful defense and subsequent diplomatic pressure will suffice. The fear of World War III is a reminder of how interconnected our global security and economies have become. Staying informed and looking at the facts behind the headlines is the best way to understand these complex events. We will continue to monitor the situation as it develops, providing objective analysis on the movements of nations and the search for regional stability.